Namo Buddhaya, welcome back to Buddhism for Beginners YouTube channel. So boys and girls, do you like food? I love food. We all do, right? We all love to eat delicious food. But do you know, sometimes this delicious food can put us in trouble? Today's story is about a monk who lost his monkhood because he indulged in the delicious food he received on an alms round. So boys and girls, this monk, so he was living in the city of Savatthi, and then so he used to go on alms round. But the little did he know was that his parents, who did not want him to, go forth and get ordained, had, placed a woman somewhere in the city in order to bring this monk back to the lay life, back to the parents' house. So this woman, boys and girls, would prepare like delicious food and wait for this monk to go on alms round. She knew exactly the route that the monk is going through. And so, this monk, without having any knowledge of this woman and why she is there, so he would, go to her house and take alms. So time went by, and, without too long, this monk, started to really like the delicious food that was offered by this woman. Boys and girls, this monk was not just an ordinary monk. He had developed so many qualities because he's been practicing Dhamma for some time under the Supreme Buddha. But he was not very much mindful. So one day, boys and girls, this monk, as usual, he would go on alms round and came to this woman's house. And so, but she was nowhere to be seen. So the monk asked from the servants, so where's your lady? Like, what happened to her? Why is she nowhere to be seen? So this, the servants answered, oh, venerable monk, our lady is very, very sick. So she's in her room upstairs. She would really like to see you if you don't mind, going upstairs. And this monk, he didn't think twice because he was already, indulge in the delicious food, and they have developed a very good relationship based on the food that he's been receiving. So without thinking twice, this monk went upstairs. But guess what, boys and girls? This woman, he wouldn't let this monk go back downstairs. So instead, she manipulated this monk and somehow, made him disrobed and took him back to his parents' house. And the monks who were residing in the monastery, they all heard it. And then they asked the Supreme Buddha, Bhante, this monk, he had developed so many qualities, which we call Dutanga. And they are very, very difficult to develop. But still, how come he got into a trap of an ordinary woman? What happened to him? And then the Supreme Buddha said, monks, not only in this life, even in a previous life, this woman did the same thing. And this monk, he got into the same trap in a previous life too. And then the monks, obviously, they were very excited because they didn't know what was the previous story of this monk, right? So they were very curious to know about the previous life. So then Supreme Buddha said the story about this monk and this woman in a previous life. So long time ago, in a city called Varanasi, there lived a king called Brahmadatta. So in this King Brahmadatta's the royal palace garden, there was a gardener named Sanjaya. So he was doing an awesome job. He was looking after the whole garden very well. So one day when, the King Brahmadatta visited his garden, and then asked Sanjaya, the gardener, Sanjaya, so what are news about the garden? Is anything new happening? And then Sanjaya said, nothing very special, sire, but there's this a deer named Vathamiga. It's a different type. They're very, very fast, boys and girls, and they're very, very rare. And these type of deers, they don't come anywhere near where the humans are, because they don't want to be anywhere closer to the humans. So but there's this Vathamiga, the deer. He comes to this royal garden. And so this Sanjay the gardener, he reported this to the king when he asked, like, whether there's anything special. And then the king asked from Sanjay, oh, so, is there any way that we can catch him? And then the Sanjay said, sire, like, if you can give me a little bit of honey, I might be able to catch this deer, because they, like animals love food, right? And so the king agreed, and he gave some honey to this gardener. And you know what he did, boys and girls? So what the Sanjay, the gardener, did was he put a tiny bit of honey on the grass where he knew where the deer was coming, and liked to eat the grass. And so the deer Vathamiga, so he would come that night and then eat the grass. And guess what? It was not like the previous day. It was very tasty because it was mixed with honey. Like, honey is very delicious. We all know that, right? And then so time went by. So every day this Sanjay, the gardener, he would put a little bit of honey everywhere on the grass, on the royal garden. And this, it was sort of a regular thing for this Vathamiga, the deer. So after some time, boys and girls, because he was indulging in the taste of honey, he started to eat grass from Sanjay's hand. Sanjay could, hold a bunch of grass in his hand, and the deer would eat it, which is, like, not very common to these type of deers. Because like I said, they don't even come closer to humans. So it was a very good moment for Sanjay, because it's something that never happens. And then he reported this to the king, and the king was very happy to hear this. And then the king advised the gardener, why don't you do something to bring this deer inside the palace? So one day this Sanjay the gardener, what he did was he made a small path towards the royal palace, covering all around it with trees and leaves, things like that, so this deer wouldn't recognize it as a different place. It all sort of looks like a part of the forest, part of the garden. And then what he did was he dripped drops of honey all the way to the palace. And guess what, boys and girls? This, deer, he loved the taste of honey. And he forgot everything about himself. Like, he forgot that humans are dangerous, because before, he knew humans are dangerous and he won't go anywhere close to them. But now, because he's already indulged in the taste of honey, he forgot all of that. So he followed the trail of honey all the way inside the palace. And soon as this deer went inside the palace, the guards closed the palace door. And then the deer was stuck inside. And then only he realized, oh, I got into a trap, right? And then he was running all over the castle. And seeing how scared this deer was, the king said, see, friends, see what has happened to this deer who was indulging in the taste of honey. When they sense humans somewhere, they won't go to that place for 7 days. And if they ever get, some sort of a threat to themselves, in any place, they would not even look at that. So which means that they would never ever would go to that place, right? But see, a tiny bit of food which he indulged in got him trapped completely. Now there's no way for him to get out of this trap. So after telling the story to the monks, Supreme Buddha said, at the time, the Vathamiga, the deer, was this monk who was indulging the food that was offered by that woman, and disrobed himself, and who lost the opportunity to escape from this birth and death, the cycle of birth and death. And that the gardener named Sanju, he was none other than that woman who did the same thing to this monk in this life. And the king, it was myself. So boys and girls, it's a beautiful story, isn't it? And we all like food, right? But sometimes we have to remember, we have to be mindful who's giving us this food and why are they giving us food. And especially the boys and girls who are listening to us today, you need to remember, if someone's giving you something to eat, you have to always make sure you ask for permission from your parents. Don't ever eat anything that's been given to you by people you don't know. I hope this story about this innocent deer Vathamiga will help you all to stay away from the traps and stay away from getting into dangerous situations. I will see you soon with another story, boys and girls. May you all be well and happy. May the Triple Gem bless you. Namo Buddhaya.